I wanted to share some thoughts with you, what we've learned in the last week, what we observed, and what that means for you and what you can do to adapt to this situation, which is extremely challenging. And I want to use the hyperthinking model that I've developed because I think it helps frame this kind of situation. So hyperthinking has 4 different dimensions: hypershifting, hyperlearning, hyperlinking, and hyperacting. And with those, I think we can find a way to adapt and start changing our approach going forward. The first of the 4 dimensions is hypershifting. Now, hypershifting means that you're looking at the situation through a new pair of glasses, a new perceptual framework, a new paradigm. The coronavirus is a black swan, an event that we didn't anticipate. Although people did talk about the possibility of pandemic, institutions, individuals, companies were really largely unprepared for it. And I think we're still in shock at the fact that this happened to us. And what we need to do is to say, okay, how can we change our perceptual framework? How can we change our paradigm, our assumptions to acknowledge, accept, and start preparing for this new environment? I think that there won't be a similar environment after the corona crisis. I think there's some transformation that will stay and shift the way you work for the long term. So the first thing is to accept and start adapting to this environment and shift perspective. The second of the 4 dimensions of hyperthinking is to hyperlearn. And in this case, this means learning new skills, specifically skills to work online. For professionals who work in communication, in politics, in public affairs, and in most fields, we're forced now to use the internet to communicate, to share information, to do online collaboration. Although we're all used to doing it to some degree, the fact of making a complete switch is a massive change. So the new default is to work online now. And I think that's a big challenge for you. It means learning new skills, getting used to the tools, figuring out exactly how to use them. And the second thing is to learn how to engage with your audience through online channels. Since events are postponed, canceled, meetings are really not possible face-to-face. So it's all about this online engagement. We need to be creative about the way we're going to create those new models. Number 3, hyperlinking. Well, of course, our digital network are key. Who do we know? How can we connect with them? How can we speak to them? How can we engage with them? These are the things that we're going to have to explore in the coming weeks in order to be able to continue. In times of crisis, communication is more important than ever. So we need to use those networks and go beyond our normal networks to find out exactly how we can reach our audience. And number 4, hyperacting, which is all about trial and error. A lot of the things we're going to try to do will not work immediately, and we have to give ourselves room for trial and error. So we have to test ideas, we have to recalibrate, we have to start again, and we have to keep learning in order to improve the situation and to improve our communication and to adapt to this change. A couple of practical things I think every organization needs to do right now: step back and evaluate the impact this crisis has on your organization for the short term, medium term, and long term. Obviously, you first need to focus on the short term and make sure that you can ensure continuity, that you can communicate and reassure your audience that you're still around and that you're doing everything you can to help the situation. And third, you need to start planning for the midterm. That means possibly no events until the summer and beyond. So what do you do to keep your conversation going, to keep reaching out to the people that you need to? And how do you start thinking about the post-summer period in a very different environment? So what I recommend is to have a plan A, B, C, D with different scenarios. And you start acting on the different scenarios as more information, more data comes through. So basically, stay safe, keep learning, and don't forget to wash your hands.